Welcome to Kinetech HD. In this video, we'll be doing a battery changeover on a Dell XPS 15. Okay, I want to address that this procedure is very simple, very straightforward. It can be applied to any other laptop. The only difference is the layout of your screws, the layout of your components. So as long as you put everything back in the reverse order, you're good to go. Now let's get into the video. Now before you begin, you want to make sure that your laptop is shut down, it is off. Then what you want to do is turn your laptop over so you can see the screws at the back. Now these toolkits, they can be obtained anywhere from your hardware store. They're just a precision screwdriver set. They're very cheap. They range from anywhere from $5 to $10. You don't need to go anything fancy. It's just a basic little kit to get you out of trouble. Start by unscrewing all the screws that are holding the back cover on. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws around the outside edge of the case. We also have 2 Phillips screws that are under this little flap. Now that we have all the screws off, you want to gently lift that cover off. You don't need to use anything to force it off. It is not being held with anything, so it should just come off. Now that you've got the cover off, I personally believe it's a good idea to give it a clean inside the cover and inside the laptop. Just that dust does accumulate in there over time from the fan spinning, so they do draw in that air to try and cool the CPU, so the dust can accumulate in the laptop. I mean, this is a fairly new laptop and it has been in shelter condition and you can still see the dust in it. First, you need to disconnect the battery. Before you start cleaning anything, you must disconnect the battery. You don't want static electricity to cause any damage to any components in the laptop. Now to pry, what you got to do is just got to pry that plug out. It can be a little bit stiff, but if you use a flathead and work your way around it, you can pry it out. It's very easy, and just use your other hand maybe to help you to guide it out. Once you've cleaned up, you want to start unscrewing the screws that are holding the battery in. Now there's 7 screws in total. The 2 center ones, they're the 2 longer ones that came in through the cover under the flap, so you don't need to remove anything there. So there's 7 additional screws you got to work your way around to get them out. Carefully remove the old battery. I'm going to give it another little clean underneath. It's not necessary. I'm a bit OCD, so that explains it. First, let's compare our new battery that came from eBay with the old one. We want to make sure that it is identical. We want to make sure that the screw positionings are the same, that the sizing is the same, that the plugs are in the same location. I did notice, however, in this battery that came, that the plug was a little bit out. I don't think it will be an issue. We will still be able to plug it in. It is a genuine Dell battery, however, so we shouldn't have any issues with it. When connecting the battery back to the board, you want to first start by lining up the plug and the connector. The plug and the connector have a lot of pins inside. They need to line up perfectly before you focus on placing the battery on the board and aligning it up with the screw holes. So once you start with the plug, place it in firmly, in position, make sure it lines up, and start by pushing it in from the center, working your way out to the sides till you firmly pushed it in all the way. Place the battery now in position, make sure the screw holes all line up, the plug is not interfering with anything. Now let's put all the screws back that are holding the battery together. Place the cover back over the laptop. Make sure you line up all the screw holes and screw away. Now, good practice to keep when putting bolts or screws back together on anything is to work in a crisscross pattern, work in the opposite directions. This just helps the cover or the item, whatever you're putting back together, have a much flatter profile. In the end, you just want to nip all the screws up slightly. They don't need massive torque. They're very tiny screws just holding a bit of plastic. Easy as that. Make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe.